Hi everyone, Deb Gerhard from Spruce Lane Designs, and today I've put together a video that shows you how to work the first stitch of the right side row and the last stitch of your wrong side row using the main color. And this is for the Please Join Me shawl. So I have put together a little swatch for this. I have my main color is this light colored whitish natural yarn, and the contrasting color is it's actually the charcoal gray, but I think it's reading a bit blue on my screen. And what I've done is instead of doing the actual make picots, I've actually just worked garter ridge, just a garter stitch row, and then a couple rows of stockinette stitch. So it's the same number of rows. It's just instead of when you work the picot row, you would knit 9 and make your picot. This is it's just all garter. So I've worked up to the point where we'd be working another picot row, which would be in your contrasting color, but you want to work your first stitch in your main color. So your first stitch here is a purl. So you're going to take your main color and you're going to purl this stitch. So you just purl that stitch and you've got your main color is in the front of your work and your contrasting color is in the back of your work. So before you look at the directions and it says to bring the contrasting color from beneath and over your main color, you want to take your main color and you want to move it to the back of your work. So basically, anytime you're manipulating these two, where you're bringing one over the other, you always want to have them both on the same side of your shawl. You don't want to have one on the front and one on the back. That wouldn't work too well. So what I'm going to do, the next stitch is a knit front and back. It's an increase stitch. And so what I do for me, because I'm a continental, I hold the yarn in my left hand, I actually insert the needle into that stitch already so it's ready to go. And then I grab my 2 strands on the back, right here, and I just bring that strand underneath. So if you can see up close here, you can see that the main color is on top of the contrasting color. And so then I just actually grab my needle and wrap it over. The other way you can do it is if you just bring this yarn over, so it's underneath, so you're forming an X across, and just bring it over. And so then you're going to knit into the front and the back of that stitch. And now you'll see by doing that, if you look down here, that your yarns are crossed. You do have your main color is sitting on top of your contrasting color. So what I do is to work the rest of the row, I just pull some slack out and then I knit across. Okay, so I have knit mostly across my right side row, and since I'm following the shaping of the shawl, I am going to knit until there are 2 stitches remaining on my left hand needle, and I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together. And then I'm going to turn my work so the wrong side is now facing me, and because this is a garter row, I'm going to knit back. Now something, if you notice, when I turn my work, I actually turn it clockwise. I turn it so that I'm going I guess you can say the end that I just started at, the beginning. I always turn it so that it's going clockwise. Okay? And then I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to knit back on the wrong side. Okay, and so I have worked back across the wrong side row here. I've knit back and I have 3 stitches remaining here. So I've got my needle into the one. So now I've knit back. So there are 2 stitches remaining on my left hand needle, the contrasting color and the main color. So this is my increase stitch. So I'm going to work that as the knit front and knit into the back. Now, once again, I get to the end of this, and I want to work this last stitch in a main color. And you'll see that my main color is in the front, and my contrasting color is in the back because I just worked a knit front and back stitch. So once again, I'm going to take that yarn and I'm going to bring that contrasting color so that it's on the same side as my main color. So now they're both side by side. So now on the wrong side, you're going to bring your main color up and over your contrasting color. So you're almost, because of the way these strands lie, your contrasting color is to the left of your main color because of the way you twisted it previously when you worked the beginning of the right side row. So you're basically just going to take your main color, you're going to just lift it over and bring it to the other side so it's in the back, so you're ready to knit this last stitch. And that's how it goes over your contrasting color. So I'm just going to knit contrasting color. My yarn is popping up there on me. I'm just going to knit this last stitch. Okay, so now you'll see, and my needle's in the way, but if you look here at these two yarns, your main color is sitting pretty much in the front and your contrasting color is on the back, and they're not twisted anymore now. But when you go to turn your work to start working on the right side, once again, move it clockwise. This keeps it untwisted. If you keep it this way and you decide to move it counterclockwise, look what happens. Your yarn twists. You got twisted yarn. So you want to move it in a clockwise pattern. So you're always going from, you want to say from right to left, from right to left. You're always turning it as if you're following the motion of a clock. And that's how you keep working those, and it keeps your yarn untwisted. So you get a little twist when you first start, but then you untwist when you get done at the end. And that's how you worked your first stitch in the main color on the Please Join Me shawl. Take care. Thanks for knitting the pattern.